We're good? Okay. All right, we are, I just want to take a minute. I'm Mayor Holly Smith, City of Sanibel. Speak up? Okay, thank you. With me, we have Vice Mayor Richard Johnson.
Good evening.
We have Council Member Michael Miller, Council Member Scott Crater, and Council Member John Henshaw as well. We have City Manager Dana Souza and our Police Chief Bill Dalton. We just wanted to try to get a little time with you tonight. I know there's a lot of questions. I know there's a lot of concerns. We have them too. These last couple of days have been life-changing, as I said in my post earlier, for all of us. And we do not underestimate the concerns that you all have, the stress that you have for what's happening on all of our island that we love. So we just wanted to take a few minutes tonight and kind of go over some of the facts that we have, that we know, and what's going to be going forward, and also a boots on the ground report from Chief Dalton. So what I want to go over a little bit are the things that we do know. And as we know, and as many of you have seen, the causeway has significant breaches. And that's going to be a long-term concern that we're going to have to be addressing. Access is cut off due to 5 breaches on the causeway. Other things that we know in regards to yesterday, the storm surge. The storm surge is estimated now between 8 and 15 feet, depending on where the properties were located. And of course, there was extensive flooding throughout the island. It's going to be a very slow process as we gain access to the island and begin our recovery. Today, the most important thing that we had to focus on were the people that were on the island that needed to get off. That was our #1 priority. That continues to be our #1 priority. And that's what we have been focused on from the time the storm hit to as soon as we could get boots on the ground, which started this morning. A lot of our time yesterday was spent cataloging who was on that island, where they were, how many, last point of contact, any sort of contact. And we had requested through social media and every other avenue to please get in touch with us and let us know. And the response has been overwhelming. And for the people that did respond and the ones that were on the island that said, here I am, we thank you, because that is going to make the difference of how we can get to the people in need first. And that's what we're doing right now. We've been shuttling those first responders and public works employees this morning by boat. I think that started at about 7 or 8 this morning, and Dana Souza will give us more of a report on that. We know, and this is a very kind of fluid number, that we have approximately 200 households that did not evacuate. Again, that's what we know of. And there could be many people in those homes. So we are, again, accumulating information, and I still encourage everybody to contact us, even if it's getting that name a second time. We want to know because maybe we're getting a name the first time. So please continue to give us the information so we can make sure that we are trying to locate. And I also want to say, make sure that if someone is located and safe, that we get that information to us so we can document that. There were about 12 people that were taken off the island that did have injuries. So what we were looking at, and I'll let Dana go through this in just a moment, was the need at the time today to get them off and who had that greatest need. With that, before I'll do my closing, I'm going to have Dana Souza come up. We'll be followed by Chief Dalton. The council members will each have an opportunity to speak, and then I'll just do a brief closing. So thank you. Dana.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members. And just for the people who are joining us on Facebook Live, we are here gathered in this corner, in this room, because we're at the Crown Plaza Hotel at Bell Tower in Fort Myers, because this is where we have our temporary city hall set up. On the 3rd floor of this building, we have a number of administrative staff who have been working the phones, monitoring emails. Our IT staff came in and set up the room before the storm hit so we could be prepared for that should we need it. We didn't know to what extent the damage on the island was going to be. So this is our temporary city hall. The mayor went over some of the facts. First thing that I want to say is I want to thank all the first responders and Coast Guard and other units that have been responding to the island in order to perform the search and rescue that's necessary on the island. Our police department, the Sanibel Fire District, we've had FWC who have participated, and Chief can talk about the other agencies that have been in there. Our public works employees also hit the island for the first time today to begin debris removal, or not removal, but to push it out of the way so our first responders can get down the road. So Periwinkle, I understand, was covered with debris, and that had to be moved out so we could get access to it. I'm not going to repeat the things that the mayor has said, but we did start shuttle service today with the boat that were coordinated with the fire district, and so we have been able to move people who need to be rescued on and off through that shuttle service, and we're very grateful for the people that have provided boats to us to do that. We have a lot of volunteers that the gentlemen standing behind me have been working hard to coordinate so we can have additional boats tomorrow so we can get more crews out there. We have limited equipment on the island. Some of the equipment we took off anticipating if we had a flood and the causeway was still in place, we could get that equipment back on. So some of our equipment is off island, some of it is on island, and that was put to use today. Tomorrow we will start the same process over again. Our fire department and police department and other responders will begin the search and rescue process for the day, and that will continue until we can pretty much go through most properties on the property or all properties on the island to make sure that nobody is there. We also are going to have additional staff that will go on to be able to help remove the debris tomorrow. LCEC will be on the island for the first time tomorrow to begin the assessment of the electrical infrastructure. They'll also be doing a helicopter fly over the island to look at the substation. And tomorrow we will be able to get island water personnel on the island as well. And then we'll get them to their plant where they have their own equipment and they can start assessing their damage as well. Our public works staff will start to look at our wastewater system tomorrow. So then all of our utilities will start to get analyzed at the same time. This is not a fast process. When Chief Dalton comes up, he's going to talk about the extensive damage. You've seen the aerial photos and the news reports. On the ground, it's pretty severe damage. And this is not going to be an easy return to the island. This is not going to be a quick return to the island. We can confirm that there were 2 fatalities on the island that we know about already. And that was confirmed by the fire chief. About 40 people had been taken off the island who were uninjured. Or could be minor, but they didn't report, didn't need any medical help. And we're working to identify those people to the shelter that they're being transported to not that long ago. We can't invite residents back to the island now. And I know that this is hard and you want to get back and you want to see your homes. And for the people on Facebook Live, we have a number of residents who are here in the room with us. It's still too dangerous until we complete this assessment. We're going to work as quickly as we can to get that initial assessment done and provide good information to you. The last thing that I want to say is I know that we were slow getting information to you today, but we didn't have a lot to provide. And maybe that was a mistake on my part that I didn't just get a news release issued to say, we don't have anything to send to you today. We're getting people on the island, but that's my responsibility to get that out. And I know pre-storm, you all knew you all saw how many news releases we were sending out to try to get people prepared. That will likely resume tomorrow. Chief Dalton really provided the first trustworthy information that we have off the island. He just briefed us very quickly before we came downstairs today. So our messaging will increase. The next message, you'll see some pictures of the photos from street level of the island. And we'll continue that communication. If you have questions, we want you to call the City Hall number, which is 239-472-3700. And I know Scotty Lynn is proud of me because I just remembered that number. So I just want to thank you all for being off the island and for allowing us to do this work. It's going to be tedious work over the next several months. And I'd like to turn it over to Chief Dalton.
Please.
So he can give you a briefing on what he found today. We'll take questions at the end of it, sir.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Bill Dalton, the police chief on Sanibel. I made it out to the island today about noontime. We had teams of our officers along with the Sanibel Fire Department and the Fish and Wildlife Commission who were out earlier. And today was really like an assessment for us. Today was the first time we ever had to enter the island using vessels as our primary form of transportation. We did start our search and rescue, but one of the main problems we had is we did not have an operational picture. We did not know what we were dealing with. So we had to get out on the island and develop an operational picture. And since then, we've developed, or refined, I would say, our plan for search and rescue. So I was here for Hurricane Charlie, and this storm is noticeably worse than Hurricane Charlie. The island is in rough shape. The power infrastructure is severely damaged. I would be surprised if there's a single structure on the island that hasn't been impacted by the storm. So I'm not saying that they're all destroyed, but it is noticeably worse than Charlie, and it's certainly the worst I've seen in 28 years. So.
Thank you.
Who made the decision to
We're going
enter the emergency?
Ma'am, we're going to take questions at the end. Thank you.
My first meeting, sorry.
No, that's fine. Thank you. Richard, Vice Mayor.
My first meeting like this too. I just want to reach out to all of those that have been communicating with us. I want to commend folks for their patience and understanding. I can't tell you how many of you I have spoken to when we had very, very limited information, some of it not even verifiable. So we're very careful to only send you what we know and what we can verify that is actual fact. As the city manager and the chief mentioned tonight, this is the first opportunity we've had to do that with you. I want to share with you that this is not the first time that the city of Sanibel has been through this. This is not the first time our community has been through something like this. We are very good at handling things like this. So I ask of each of you, allow these professionals to do their job so that we can get you back on your beloved island as quickly as possible and as safely as possible. Your health, safety, and well-being is the utmost concern. I know, and trust me, I have assets on the island as well. I am eager to see what they look like and know how I can help. I am sitting on my hands, along with all of you here, doing that very same thing. So I understand, but we will get you back on. We have consummate professionals. I am so proud of these gentlemen that I'm working with, and we will get through this, and we'll come out on the other side better than we were going in. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Dr. Prater.
Sure, thank you. As you probably may know, I'm a practicing physician, so I'm with seniors every single day in my job. And I think folks need to start thinking about where they're going to be for the next weeks or months if you have health concerns. You need to be in a place that has a functioning hospital and a functioning pharmacy and everything working, and doctors' offices that are open. My office is closed and it won't be open until there is electricity, and no one knows when that will be. And that's the same for every doctor and dentist and pharmacist in the area. Health Park Hospital is transporting all 400 patients to Naples. So this gives you an idea of the gravity of the situation. If there's a place you can be other than Lee County and you have health problems, you might consider going there and talking to your family and going somewhere else. There are functioning hospitals in the area, but they are full of people already, and they're going to be injured folks and other medical emergencies that they will need to attend to. Out on the east coast of Florida, in Fort Lauderdale and Miami, you have power, you have air conditioning, you have functioning pharmacies, fully functioning hospitals and doctors' offices, you have airports that are functioning. So that's where many of my personal friends are, and you may consider going somewhere else other than here for the next period of weeks or months because of the risk to your health. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Crater. Mr. Henshaw.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't know if I can add a whole lot more, except to say and re-emphasize the fact that this is worse than Charlie, as the chief mentioned. If you remember Charlie, we had a couple weeks, no power. We're talking about a significantly longer period of time. So we have to be patient. As Dr. Crater mentioned, we have to start looking at where are we going to stay and live for a significant period of time. Don't know exactly what that is. We'll learn more as we go through this process. But so we have to take care of ourselves, and then when the time is right, go back on the island. I do want to thank the city staff for this great work. They are doing yeoman's work in respect to getting us up and running, assessing the issues, and I want to thank the city staff for all the work that they're doing. Be patient, and we'll continue to communicate with you on a regular basis. Thanks.
Thank you, John. Mike, Councilmember Miller.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to add to what my colleagues said, express my gratitude for the first responders, in particular the men and women of the Sanibel Fire District and the Sanibel Police Department, for the efforts they made before the storm, during the storm, and today in rescue operations. And I join my colleagues also in hoping that we can all be very patient, because our objective is to ensure that the island is safe for all of us when we do return.
Thank you very much. Did you, please?
Yeah, I just want to add that I know that I just got a report that the City Hall number is not working.
Oh.
So we have transferred the line, and it has been working here all the calls have been transferred here to the hotel, and I know that we have fielded a number of calls. So for the people that reported it on this live stream, thank you for reporting that to us. Our IT staff is already working on it right now, so we can get that corrected as soon as possible.
Thank you. And I just wanted to take a minute and touch on a couple other things. We do not do this on our own, but I can tell you this team right here is really going to be working to do what we can for everybody on this community, and we are really Team Sanibel, and I couldn't be more proud to work with these four gentlemen, because I know their dedication is truly to our island. We also are working with other partners and stakeholders, and we have had responses from the national level down to the local levels all around. Had the opportunity, the senators have reached out to us, City Manager Sousa and I had a discussion with the governor today, said, what are your needs and how can we help you? Army Corps of Engineers, who we're all well acquainted with because of water quality. Colonel Booth is now the boots on the ground for infrastructure in this area. He was kind enough to come over here because he knew we were here to say, I'm here for you. We have the County Commission, Lee County, great partnership. We've been working with the communication with them because it takes multiple agencies to work towards the results of what we have seen in the last couple of days. So it's really important, and I am appreciative of all of them. Again, like everyone has said up here, patience. And it's going to be really hard to be patient. And like Richard said, all of us, our homes are there. I walked away from my home this time, and you know what? For the first time, I thought, it's okay. My family's safe, and you all in this room is safe. Anyone that is listening on this Facebook, you are safe. And we all should be very fortunate, because the magnitude of that storm was something that none of us could even wrap our heads around. But I know together we're going to come through it. Every day is going to be a different day. Please be patient. If we don't return your calls and texts, everyone has my cell phone number, and I can assure you I have hundreds that I've still got to return, and I'm doing them based on the priority. If there's someone on the island that I need to make sure needs to be noted within that notification. So with that, I wanted to open up for questions for our staff and for our council members. Ma'am, I think you had a question.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I have a house on Captiva, and I want to know who had so little patience that they couldn't give us a little bit of time to pack up and get. I was given those of us who were there had well-stocked coolers, freezers, refrigerators, water, all the things we needed to get us through a short period of time to, I was given 15 minutes and I won't be back to my home. So I have this. That's all I have, and I won't be back there.
And it was
I think 15 minutes is not enough then, and I'm familiar with all the fire department out there. We worked with them for years, and did other disaster relief. I've never been on this end of it. And on the pontoon boat, and they got a whole bunch of us from various parts of Captiva, and we were taken to Port Sanibel Marina, and sat there for 3 hours, and we were, others did have some contact. We had there was no cell phone reception there from anybody. There's 4 of us. And so we sat there for several hours until a neighbor who happened to drive by said, "Can we give you a lift somewhere?" There was no provision for anybody to meet the people coming off the boat to be transported someplace. I talked to Fish and Wildlife. I talked to the fire chief, and it was, well, we're trying to get the trolley out here and take you to a shelter. Okay, well, hours go by and there's no trolley and the cars are clearing out and we're going to be left stranded there. It was fortunate the neighbor, who was a really kind Christian gentleman, piled 4 of us in his car and drove us in here. And I'm just unhappy that I didn't have more than 15 minutes notice. So, somebody decided they weren't going to be patient, and that's what I got to say.
Sharon.
Oh, shut up!
It was this storm was one that we watched for a while, and it was the direction that was going in. There weren't any answers. We were watching and we were doing the best that we could with the information, as was the county, as was the weather service, and this storm turned. It was a little reminiscent of when we had Charlie coming and it took a turn. And so decisions were made for Sanibel residents. County residents, which includes Captiva, those decisions were made for the county. We did our best and hope we put the best information out that would have been available to anyone to prepare. And if you have an opportunity to leave, please leave. I cannot say enough about how staff pre-prepared for this storm and what we did to try to let our citizens know what potentially could be the worst case situation. And everybody always thinks, worst case situation, and then you always hope for the best. Mm-hmm. And you always hope in 2 days we're going to say hi to each other. This ended up being the worst case situation. And we did a voluntary evacuation at our council meeting, and we could not do a mandatory until we had shelters put in place, until the county had opened those up, and they did so. And their logistics is complex as well. So I'm just going to say we're just glad everybody in this room is safe. I'm glad the woman that just spoke had the opportunity to get in her car or have transportation and get to safety. Are there other questions? Yes, sir. Yep, in the blue shirt?
Green.
Green?
I gotta get taller.
In the green shirt.
Rocco, go ahead.
Oh, yes, that's
You're up.
You're up.
This is turquoise.
Aqua.
Anyway, I don't let anybody say shut up to my wife. She's a pain in the butt. Okay?
We're live, sir.
We're live.
She's been a friend for
anyway,
years.
yeah, but
Did you have a question?
yes.
Thank you.
How could she say 15 minutes when we were warned time after time to get off the island? Okay. Now my question is,
Thank you.
will there be? I'm sure there will, and I don't know how to properly address it. Will there be a plan to get people that are here, that are off the island? We can't go across the causeway. Will there be a plan to get us to the island either by boat or by whatever in the near future? Because all of us are like with no clothes and haven't seen our homes, and need to know, well, okay, so my house is closed, whatever, but I want to at least get clothes to go somewhere. You're talking about weeks. What about medications?
I understand, and I'm going to let Dana talk about what the process is before we can move into the phase to safely get people on. And I will tell you before he starts to speak that was a conversation that we also had with the governor in regards to possibility getting barge or ferries set up. But City Manager Souza, I'm going to let you speak to that.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and good question. We know that you, as I mentioned before, we know that you all want to get back to your homes. This assessment has to continue first. With broken power poles and down lines and other things that could fall, we have to make sure that it's safe first. So the street-by-street assessment has to continue, and the search and rescue process cannot be compromised. So that's something that the chief and other officials that we've talked with, that has to be our first priority to make sure that we systematically go through the island. In the meantime, we have been having conversations, and Councilor Henshaw and other council members have been working, and I think pretty much all of them have given me names of companies, boat sizes, and other things that are going to be available, how many people they can take. So when it is safe, we will have some type of shuttle service in place that we can get you to the island, but then not just drop you off at the boat ramp, but then how do we get you from the boat ramp to your homes and then allow you to gather what you can and get back. But that, as I said before, is not going to be a quick process. I wish that we could, and we'll be in touch with some of our other nonprofit partners. So you're here at the hotel. If there are things that we can help you with, I want you to talk to me after the meeting, and we'll try to get some help to you. We can't get you to your house. That's some help. That help I can't get to you. But yes, there is a plan. We've also assigned staff today. Holly Milbrandt's in the back of the room. She started working on leads that we had for permanent and longer term shuttle service that would be between the mainland and the island. So we're looking at short term and long term. The bridge is not going to be repaired quickly.
For sure.
Yeah.
How will we be advised of continuation of it? Would we have to come here, like, are you going to do this meeting?
We'll see how often we'll do the meetings here. We'll probably try to arrange something regularly. Tomorrow, our news releases will increase, so we ask that you subscribe to our news information on our website, and that way you can make sure that you get all the news releases as they come out.
My Sanibel.
The website is mysanibel.com.
That's it, and then there's...
Yes, sir. And then there's a button at the top that says "I want to." And if you click on the "I want to," it will take you to the page where there'll be another click that you can make that will take you to the page where you can subscribe for that information.
It says sign up for news and announcements.
Sign up for news and announcements. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am.
I just want to know, before we leave today, can we ask you if you have information about our neighborhood? We're all in a different neighborhood.
Chief Dalton.
We're near the firehouse.
Okay, if I was through your neighborhood today, I'll have an answer for you. I don't know, but what neighborhood are you inquiring about?
Well, we're in the bayous north.
No, we didn't get up that far. There was too much debris on Sandcap Road, and we are going to be working with our Public Works Department to get up there because we have folks that it's been requested that we check on their well-being in those neighborhoods, and the officers can't get up there. So our Public Works folks with the big front-end loaders, they go first and clear the street, and then our officers go in behind them and do the well-being check. So today, if you just think about it, this time yesterday the event was happening, right? So we're not even 24 hours later. We figured out a way to get on the island. We got an operational picture. We've painted a picture of what is going on now. We had no idea about that. And then our officers, the officers from the Sanibel Police Department, Sanibel Fire Department, and Fish and Wildlife primarily, they jumped right into the rescue portion of it. So I couldn't be more proud of the men and women of those organizations, and then there'll be more organizations to come. But I do know we didn't get as far up Sandcap Road as your neighborhood.
Other questions? Dave, go ahead.
I just, I want to commend you. Again, we're just 24 hours after this thing. So your priorities are in place. By the way, I have Ken Coulter. Holly, I did check. You said he was safe. Okay, he called me. I'm an insurance agent, so after safety, people having their lives saved, I'm happy to be alive. That's what I am. However, I have clients that are going to be calling me, asking me about their property, how to file a claim. I'm getting text messages, 142 of them. Dave, you helped me on the last one. What do I do? So this is brand new to me because I've never been in a situation. Chief Dalton allowed me to renew my hurricane pass last Friday, not being a resident if you stay in touch with me and tell me how we do this, maybe coordinate adjusters that have to get out to the island with schedules. I'd be happy to do this even with Chris Heydrich.
I'll let City Manager Susan
Sure.
go ahead and
So what we'll do,
take that.
Dave, is after this, you can talk to me and we'll get your information, and we have lists going for a number of things. So we'll take lists, so when it is safe and we can get insurance folks back on the island, that we'll do so. I know the chief wants to add to this as well.
Okay.
But that's, at this point, that's the best we can do. Who's gonna help people get their properties assessed and claims filed? So we'll talk with you after the meeting.
I appreciate the answer.
Yes, sir.
And
Chief Dalton.
he lives on Skiff.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask a question on behalf of Ken. Ken, can you hear?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So it's going to be a considerable amount of time before we get through the assessment, and then after the assessment is when our assessment is basically for life safety issues.
Sure.
Then after that, then we do an estimate of the damage of individual properties. So, but I just want to tell everybody, like I had said before, everyone in our past, Hurricane Charlie was always the worst experience we had. Well, this has significantly surpassed Hurricane Charlie. So this is going to be a lengthy process. We're working very hard. We're adding more people to it tomorrow. And when we evaluate how much we've done, we could add more again in the future. So, and like as I said, the officers of those three agencies, they worked very hard today, and I was very proud of them. And there's a good chance they're still at it now, ferrying people back. The Fish and Wildlife Commission has came with a huge presence. So we're working very hard, but this is not going to be a quick fix.
Thank you. And Ken's question? Did Ken have a question?
Skiff. You talked about neighborhoods. Did you happen to get over to the east side?
Well, you know what? If there's that question, we can handle that outside of the
Okay,
meeting. Thank
okay.
you. Ed, did I see you had a question?
Yeah, who's keeping the pirates from landing there and taking our treasure?
That's a very fair question. Security around the island. Dana, Chief?
We're working on a security plan, but I do have to tell you right now, we don't have a 24-hour day security plan. We're less than 25 hours away from the onset of this event. We understand your concerns. They're my concerns too, because I'll be responsible for that. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to figure out a way where we got to get some police cars that are on the mainland onto the island. So if you've got any suggestions, I'm all ears.
But let me add to
We are working on it.
I'm going to add about getting vehicles on. So we do have a contractor that is under contract with the city for disasters like this. We expect the barge to be here on Sunday as it stands right now. There could be a delay, but Steve Chaple, who's our deputy city manager working the camera, he has spoken with our contractor today, and Sunday is the day we expect the barge, and then we'll be able to start getting more equipment on the island, which includes our vehicles, police vehicles, public works vehicles, LCEC vehicles. So that's our plan, to get more vehicles on the island.
Jane?
Kind of a security question. People have been asking me, are residents allowed on the island if they would go on their own, say a private boat?
Okay, so the question is, are residents allowed on the island if they access it on their own? Chief Dalton?
I would say yes. At this point in time, we don't keep people from going to their property. We'd ask you to be prudent, ask you to be cautious, but at this point in time, there's nothing in place to keep residents from going in that fashion.
And
So,
do you have any idea if most vehicles had flooded, or is there certain areas that didn't flood versus others?
From what I could gather on,
Cars at home.
right, from what I could gather on the island today, I think the whole island was impacted with storm surge. Now, I'm sure it's varying degrees depending where you were, but my perception from what I saw today was that the storm surge was so much and so pervasive that I think every part of the island experienced storm surge.
So massive, yeah.
Yes, massive is a good word for it.
And can I add a comment to
I was
that?
going to add about the county. So we have to remember the county enacted, and we fall under that, a 24-hour curfew. It's around the clock. There are exceptions for that, for medical, for work, and for first responders. Those are the only exceptions.
And that was one of the points that I was going to make, and when we're in this type of operation and somebody is coming to check on their home, or if somebody is coming there to be one of the pirates that was mentioned, we can't make that distinction. So we are not encouraging people to go to the island. We want our teams to be able to do what they need to do and do it safely. And then if there is an issue, there is a curfew in place. Had the county not implemented a 24/7 curfew, we had already prepared a proclamation for the mayor to sign that our other council members had agreed to, and that was going to be in place from a city perspective. But there is a curfew in place. We're not going to wrestle people to the ground, but we really don't want people to go there until we say, we'd like to invite you back to do the things, get closed, make an assessment when we can.
Yes, ma'am. In the back, and I think it's purple. Thank you.
So, obviously, this is my first time ever going through a hurricane and everything, and very overwhelmed. I'm very concerned when I hear you say it's gonna be weeks and months. I'm a volunteer at Fish, and we have the most fragile people that we take care of that have no resources whatsoever. So, right now, they're in shelters, but like, how long do shelters stay open for these people? And then I know Fish obviously is gonna be having a plan, but I was so worried when I was, delivering my last meals to these people and wondering because they were like, we have no money, we're not going anywhere. I mean, I know they left, but still, what happens to these people when the shelters shut down?
Well, and I think that's when the coordination of our community and our partnerships is going to come into play, because there are other partnerships within Lee County. United Way 211 is a partner, so they are fully activated throughout Lee County, and that's a major partner for Fish. So they're going to be working with that partnership to help answer those questions that we don't know the answer to right now. But again, their safety is where they are right now. And I know Community Cooperative, all of the other organizations, Salvation Army, they're reaching out and saying, how can we help? And I'm confident that that's going to include housing for the people that you're talking about right now.
If we can find housing, right? I mean, it doesn't look very good here in Fort Myers.
You know what? When hard times come before us, we find solutions. So solutions will be found.
Okay, and so I can talk to you afterwards about how I can volunteer to continue to help.
We're going to be taking Crystal Mansell. I believe we're directing. There's a volunteer list that you can sign up for, and we know there are so many people that are reaching out and saying, "What can I do?" Because we're all what can we do? So right now we need to let staff, our professionals, and our partners do the work that needs to be done. And then we can bring in the partners as we need them. Like we're working on the boats to get individuals to come and help take people back and forth. But we just need to make sure that the work gets done that has to get done. And then the volunteers, you'll send that to Crystal. You can talk to Scotty Lynn after the meeting, get your name on, the credentials, so we can make sure that when we're ready, we can call on it, because we will. We're going to be asking for a lot of help. We're rebuilding what our community is. Yes, ma'am.
When is this going on Facebook?
It's going on right now.
Right now.
Yes, ma'am. Question, yes.
Hi, I'm glad she asked that question, but first I want to thank all of you, because I think you're doing such an amazing job explaining it all to us, so thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
And I wanted to ask about Crow, because I volunteer there a lot, and I'm worried about my animal friends. And I don't know if we're going to be able to go back on the island to volunteer, or even if it's possible, or because they need volunteers there because they don't have that many staff. You
Well,
know, that's the issue.
And I believe Crow has actually a medical pass to come back on the island when it is safe to do so. But I can tell you that I know where the critters are that were taken off island, and they are all doing very well. I have seen them.
Thank you.
And just another comment, Crow is going to be doing a flyover tomorrow in a helicopter so they can get an assessment of conditions on the island as well.
Any further questions? Yes.
Is there any system in place to help residents find temporary housing that can't afford to get temporary housing through this?
Did I hear you say Holly was Milbrand?
No,
I'm
Holly's
sorry.
working on boats.
Boats. She's the boat lady.
Right.
211.
But that would be social service agencies, it would be Fish is still engaged.
United 211, and you can also go to the Lee Alerts, go to their LeeGov, I think it's /hurricane, and they have information for the organizations as well. Lee County is pushing out notifications, ways to get help, so please stay tuned with that as well, because I think it's going to be beneficial countywide. Any further questions?
This is a quickie.
Yes, sir.
You can answer questions now, but in a couple of days, how would we ask questions of you guys? You're busy as heck. And how can we ask questions? What vehicle do we have to ask questions of you?
I'm getting questions asked to me through social media, through my emails, and there might be an opportunity, city manager, if there were questions, because that was something I think is important that you ask that, because we want to know the questions that you're asking, because it might not be a question that we had thought of.
Well, some of our phones don't work.
Oh,
You know
yes,
that-
we know.
Yes.
Oh, and countywide.
And that will be temporary, we know, I don't know how long temporary is, but cell service, some folks who didn't have cell service earlier today called me. Whether or not that's just a fleeting moment and that it will fail again, I don't know, but it's in and out, we know that from experience. So phone service will be restored if you can use your access here at the hotel through your Wi-Fi, and make sure that your Wi-Fi calling is in. There's a Wi-Fi calling setting in your phone, and if you turn that on while you have Wi-Fi access here at the hotel, that will help you. I couldn't call out until somebody on staff helped me do that, because I wasn't thinking about doing that. But we're going to be here. We have the rooms here in the hotel right now through Sunday, and we're going to have to extend that, provided the hotel can accommodate us here, because we have no place to manage our city operations. As the chief and other teams get through to look at our infrastructure and our buildings, then we'll determine whether or not we can resume operations there with a skeleton crew. But we don't have a solution to shuttling employees back and forth every day yet either.
Jane,
Last question.
last question?
With the phone system being very erratic, do we have a text number they can use for the city as an alternative to
The question is there a text number that we can use for the city?
as an alternative to phone?
We'll publish one.
If, to be determined and to be put out, okay? In closing, I want to thank everybody. We're all in this together, and yesterday was just life-changing for all of us, as all of us sat there and watched. And where we are today is certainly nowhere where any of us thought we would be. But you know what? We're pretty darn strong. It's going to be a process, and believe in the island. Couldn't love it anymore. All of us in this room do. So we're going to work together to just make sure it's the best it can be. And in closing, it's really pretty appropriate. The room we're sitting in today is called the Sanibel room. So thank you very much for coming.